This is it. Okay, it's not a big, wasn't a big room. How could you miss anything? We stayed there 2 days, and we looked and we looked. We went through every piece of trash. You get it? 2 days. I mean, that's the problem. You staying focused. How focused can you stay after 2 days? You go through it. You go through it, and Charlotte Jurgen, CSI girl, tremendous job. She's tremendous. She's very good at staying focused in the worst circumstances. Love her to death. Wouldn't be anybody I'd ever want to cry. If I had one right now, involved with I'd say, call Charlotte and get her up here if you can. Not that she's perfect, but she knows how to stay focused. She's real. She's not detached, but she's real. But she's very focused in that. We were going through all this, and we collected and collected. So 3 years after we collected all the evidence and had it in all these bags, they call and they say to us, we got one piece of evidence that it says that Lieutenant Crisado collected this evidence, but we have no idea when he collected it, no idea where he collected it. We have no idea how you got that piece of evidence. It's a piece of wire. And in saying that, let me find it here. I think I've got it. Evidence log, yeah, hold on. Let's go back to the evidence log. Pretty sure this is going to be it. With all this evidence, we're going to scan down, and watch this, we're going to scan down. You've done this, you see all how the crime scene evidence log was listed for us, tells everything, it starts going. She did it. I don't even know if everybody's on this same pattern, but where she collected it based upon who they collected it from. I didn't ordinarily submit evidence by myself anymore as a lieutenant, but we had people that did. You see all the evidence, what she collected. It shows it keeps going. There's lots of it. But number 113, I believe it's going to be. What does it say? Collected from Lieutenant Crisado at Johnson County Sheriff's Office, 7/17. So it was collected a couple days after. Pieces of brown extension cord in a hefty 1-zip bag. Now, everything else was in evidence bags, right? This was in a hefty Ziploc bag. And I'm like, I talked to my DA. He called me. He said, we need to know what the deal is here because it was collected 2 days later. Did you go back out to the house? That would be a problem. Did you get it? You forgot to turn it in. You had it that day for some reason. Because at the evidence house, of course, at the house, the day of evidence, you know what we do, right? Charlotte's there, and we just look at it, and then she documents it. She did everything. You got it. Just chain of custody. Everybody understands that. So the easy way, let me do it, let me document it, let me photograph it, let me enter it in right here, okay? But here I've got a piece of evidence that all she's got on it is collected from Lieutenant Crisado. That's all that's on the record. That's the record right there. And guess what? I didn't remember. I'm sorry. I'd looked at tons of evidence. Has everybody seen that? Okay. I had looked at lots of evidence. This was 2 days later, and we were all exhausted. Where did I get this bag from? Now, to make things even more complicated, the only person that could have even possibly helped me, I could figure, was did I tell Charlotte anything? Did I tell Charlotte anything about this bag? Right? Because, I mean, as far as I know, she's the only one that knows that I know my hand. I'm thinking, I don't think I even did that. I think she's confused about that. But the reason it's a point is, of course, I mean, no one said a word. And I'm sure lawyers could explain this to us better, but it's not that they were saying anything that I had done wrong. It's just their eyebrows were raised. It was like, how is a piece of evidence like this showing up? And I'm like, I don't know. And Charlotte, a few months after this case, she needed a break. She decided to go to Kentucky, back where she was from. Her and her husband on the way out there had a major wreck, almost died, and had absolutely, we didn't know she was going to make it. It was a bad accident, and it took her a long time to recoup. They weren't really sure at one time whether she would make it to the trial. This is 3 years later, or 2.5. You know, this is a big bad accident, bad. But I called Charlotte. I said, we're going to find out. So I called Charlotte. Charlotte remembered everything because she had kept her own notes. Just her memory notes of simply, you know, what happened. Wasn't written down. It was simply that she had memory. She kept good memory and good notes in her head. That can be the same thing, because you're not going to write everything down always, right? We all know that. You cannot always write everything down. But Charlotte kept good memory. She was a helper. She wanted to cover people. Here's what happened. Jonathan Richardson's mother, I had interviewed her. It's the only person I interviewed in that case. But I'd interviewed her 3 times. I'd gotten to know her about Jonathan. She was disgusted, this and that. He had hit her. She couldn't believe it. Believed this whole thing's a nightmare. Went back again to make sure. Talked about childhood. Talked about a lot of things, trying to find out. So that day, she came back to the sheriff's office. She had gone and done what? Done what? Yes, and cleaned up. And under the treadmill was what? A piece of wire. So what did she do? Put it in a Ziploc bag and headed to the sheriff's office. I'm sitting here and wide open. People coming and going, stuff in my mind. She gives it to me. I'm thinking, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I know it's a tough time for you, but thank you for taking the time to do that. Set it on my desk right there. I'm going to get up in a minute and do what I need to do and take care of this. And somebody's in back in, oh, you know, we got to do an interview on that. And you got the doctor's office calling from UNC about some other things. You got the medical examiner talking about, you know, so my mind's like this, right? Have you ever seen anybody like that? Hang around me a while, you'll see it. It's nothing greater than a guy or a girl, but I'm using a female counterpart of a co-worker, Charlotte, who was brilliant. She came in. You think she wasn't stirred up? She was the one that handled over 200 pieces of evidence, 1,000 pictures, and still had more to do. If I was overloaded, she was smothered, correct? So at this moment, I'm wiring out here a little bit. I'm tired. Charlotte comes in. I said, Charlotte, I'm going to go and give this piece of evidence. I will make notes, as she told me, what I said, which I'm sure I did. I will make notes shortly and enter it in a CAD. That this is where I got it from. No, I said I will make notes. That's what I said. I will make notes about where I got this from. I'm busy right now, but I'm going to go and give it to you. And this is just put a time and date on it, and we'll take care of it when I get down there. Everybody heard that before? And I'm like, Charlotte, I don't have time. Telephone's ringing, everything's going on, right? The perfect time to say, you know what? That's his job. He just told me he'll take care of the paperwork. You ever heard that say before? I'll take care of the paperwork. And you know what? Chris Otto's ticked me off anyway. We've been together for 2 days. We didn't even eat part of the time. He's worn me out. I'm wearing him out. Everybody's tired. He said he'd take care of it. I got enough to worry about. And quite honestly, I'm fed up too. And I'm ready to go home and go to bed. We can go to bed in 48, 64 hours, whatever. You see my point? We all do that, right? But what does a good officer do? A really good officer, evidence technician person, it comes from your character. You might not have the best memory. It might be a lot of things. It comes from your character. Do the best you can and think ahead and help other people. And that's Charlotte. She's through and through good with that. So she takes a piece of evidence and she said, Chris, just a question here. So I know. Where'd you get this from? So Charlotte, Jonathan Richard's mother came in. Where did she find it? I asked her that. She said she found it under the treadmill. And she came straight here. She just got it done. Charlotte documented every bit of that. Sounds little, but it was huge. But see why? At that point, we decided after conferring with the DA and everything to do what was the right thing to do. The correct thing to do was to go and re-interview the mother, and she gave us a full statement. Yes, I did. Handled that. We let them know we're good with that then, because it was confirmed. The point being is this, of course, that was that threw a real kink in my head, if you can imagine, right before a capital murder case, of somebody saying, Otto's slipping. It's a murder case. He's got a piece of wire that wires were found in the door, and he don't know where it came from. Could he have done? Could he have done? Could he have? Y'all get the point, right? And I think the greatest thing about that case, for me, as horrific as it was, I wanted so bad to make sure we did a great job. And I'll tell you, the defense team, their investigator that I know that did their work for them, he said this case was ironclad as far as the evidence and what was done. But all I'm telling you is what was so special about that case was everybody, but particularly Charlotte, did an incredible job of being a great team player when a lot of people would have burned out and not cared. Because we all have that threshold, do we not? Does everybody not have some threshold in here? Some of you just can take it forever. If you do, raise your hand. I'm going to get your name and number. We're going to try to get you to work with us. Everybody has thresholds. But Charlotte, she wanted to cover me. She knew me. She knew me. She knew I was tired. She knew what I was like in major crime scenes. I go after the person. I want to focus on that person that I think did it, and I'm going to find out. But she says, that's not good enough here. This is a piece of evidence that could be crucial down the road, how you got it. So I'm going to ask him a couple questions. Don't answer the phone right now. Let me just ask you. And that's what she did. So I hope the point of that is that I encourage you. Your job is so crucial, and it can be at any moment. I really appreciate y'all's abilities, what I believe are God-given abilities, to be good at what you do. And I absolutely wish you the best. I do hope that this story somehow will let you, if it ever comes to mind in a case that everybody is at the edge and you want to be at the edge, that's why you got the job you got. Because hopefully you're a Charlotte. And you're like, I'm not going to fall for that. So they're having a problem there, and that's an issue there, and they kept the house too long and they're mad about it. Why didn't you deal with the grandparents and have them hauled in here too? You mean to tell me you're going to go and arrest that guy now and get him today, and you're not bringing that sorry mother right now with him in the front seat? You understand the emotional impact? To have a logical person with you like Charlotte is huge. I hugged her many times. We're very good friends. She's a great girl. But anyway, hope you can take that and use it somewhere down the road. It may click for you. Stay focused when everybody else gets unfocused, even your leadership and supervisors. And in the long run, it will come back to show you to be the one that did your job when even other people may have failed. All right. If you have a question afterwards, I'm going to go ahead and break for you guys to break, but I'll be here for a minute. Again, thank you for your time, and good to see everybody.
Thank you very much. The housekeeping part from this morning, I'm going to go ahead and do it now, and then we're going to try to do some things and then get you out of here. Right? Okay. Fine with me. Whatever. Yeah. Yeah, you're cut off.
Cut off now.
We'll get you a chance to. I want to thank everybody for coming in and participating in the conference. I'd like to thank Karen Woodard and her committee in particular for putting this together. I really appreciate your work and what you do. If you would, please give her a hand for what she's done. The purpose of this conference is to get everybody together, to get everybody out, meet each other, talk to each other, exchange ideas, and to learn from each other and from the speakers. What? How about if I hold it up here? Is that better? Okay. From the speakers and each other. I saw that happen a lot over the past 2 days. We've got people here that they don't have any experience whatsoever. And a lot of people in this room know what that feels like, not to have anybody to look at, not to have anybody to rely on. And I appreciate those with experience trying to talk with the people that haven't got a grasp on what they're doing yet and to try to teach each other. A lot of it comes from everybody else in this room helping the people that are just coming. The technical